Just a few days ago, she was in complete disbelief, shocked by what had happened, almost frozen in the moment. But time moves fast at the World Championships. There's no time to dwell on the past. Now she's had a couple of days to process it all, to reset mentally, and to refocus for the challenge ahead, the 200-meter final. And she looks sharp in the qualifying rounds, calm, controlled, ready. But tonight is different. Tonight is the final, and the competition is absolutely stacked. She finds herself in lane 9, a lane many sprinters actually enjoy. Clear track ahead, no distractions, just pure focus on your own race. But to truly compete with the women in this field, she will likely need the race of her life, possibly even a personal best. Because right behind her sits the fastest woman in the world this year, Gabby Thomas. And just a couple of lanes away is another dangerous contender, Julien Alfred, the reigning NCAA champion with serious speed and the ability to surprise anyone. And that's before we even talk about the biggest name in the race. Lining up in lane 6 is the fastest woman alive over 200 meters, Shericka Jackson. As the cameras shift to Gabby Thomas, another storyline becomes impossible to ignore. The United States hasn't won the World Championship 200-meter title since the legendary Allison Felix did it back in 2009. Tonight could change that. Thomas has drawn lane 8, a near-perfect position. From there, she can see the world champion ahead of her and attack the race the way she loves, building momentum through the curve and unleashing her biggest weapon on the straightaway, a devastating final 100 meters. But while the field is filled with talent, the spotlight inevitably returns to one woman, the favorite, the Jamaican star, Shericka Jackson. This season, no one has run faster over 200 meters, and from lane 6, she has the perfect view of the entire race unfolding in front of her. The 29-year-old Jamaican also carries something else onto the track tonight: motivation. Because earlier in the championships, she believed for a brief moment that she had won the 100-meter world title, only for it to slip away to Sha'Carri Richardson. Tonight, the stage is set, and the 200 meters might be her moment for redemption. The shock of the 100 meters was still fresh. Many believed Shericka Jackson would take that title, but instead, she was stunned by the late surge of Sha'Carri Richardson. That moment left the sprint world in disbelief. Now the focus shifts to the 200 meters, a distance where Jackson has been nearly unstoppable. Standing on the line is Gabby Thomas. As mentioned earlier, she comes into this race with an important advantage: fresh legs. She skipped the 100 meters entirely, saving everything for this moment. Right beside the world's best is another rising star, Julien Alfred. The NCAA champion has already shown incredible speed this season, but the question remains: does she have one more huge performance left in her tonight? For Great Britain, Daryll Neita steps into another major final. After reaching the Olympic 100-meter final, she now finds herself competing for a world medal in the 200. And then there's her teammate, Dina Asher-Smith. The 2019 world champion at this distance knows exactly what it takes to win here, but injuries in recent years have made the road back difficult. After finishing 8th in the 100 meters, this race offers her a chance for redemption. Another veteran of the sport lines up in a difficult position: Marie-Josée Tallou. One of the most consistent female sprinters of the last decade, she once again finished just outside the medals in the 100 meters. And tonight, a tough lane draw in lane 2 makes the challenge even harder. But many believe the medals will come from the outside lanes. Side by side are the two American stars, Gabby Thomas in lane 8 and the newly crowned 100-meter world champion, Sha'Carri Richardson, in lane 9. The tension builds. The stadium falls silent. Set. The women explode out of the blocks. Around the curve, Shericka Jackson begins to accelerate. One by one, she starts moving past the competition. By the time they hit the home straight, the world champion is already in command. Now it's just a question of the clock. Jackson powers down the straight, completely in control, leaving the field behind. Back-to-back world titles for Jamaica. She crosses the line in 21.41 seconds, a championship record. An astonishing performance that moves her even closer to the legendary world record of Florence Griffith-Joyner. The gap now is just 0.07 seconds. Behind her, Gabby Thomas storms through to take the silver medal, while Sha'Carri Richardson holds on for bronze, her second medal of the championships. But on this night, there was no doubt about the winner. From the moment she hit the straightaway, Shericka Jackson delivered a race executed to absolute perfection. What we just witnessed was nothing short of historic. In the middle of a World Championship final, Shericka Jackson delivered the second fastest 200 meters ever run in history. The stadium could hardly believe it. The reaction said it all. Gabby Thomas stood there with her mouth wide open, stunned by the time on the clock. The result? Jamaica takes gold. The United States takes silver and bronze. But what truly stands out is the margin. In sprinting, even a tenth of a second can be huge. Jackson won by 0.4 of a second. An enormous gap in a 200-meter final at the World Championships. In races at this level, that kind of dominance is almost unheard of. Many expected a tight finish. Some thought someone might challenge her. But once Jackson came off the curve, the race was already over.
Behind her, Gabby Thomas tried to close the gap late, but the space between the Jamaican champion and the rest of the field was simply too big. Meanwhile, Sha'Carri Richardson delivered exactly what she needed, a personal best, to secure the bronze medal. That means she leaves these championships with 2 medals, gold in the 100 meters and bronze in the 200. An incredible first World Championships for the American star. Looking again at the replay, you can almost see Jackson's determination the moment she exits the turn. After the disappointment of the 100 meters, she looked focused, controlled, and ready to prove a point. And prove it she did. She successfully defends her world title from 2022 World Athletics Championships, confirming her place as the undisputed queen of the 200 meters right now. For the rest of the sprinting world, the message is clear. If you are not ready to run 21.4 seconds or faster, you simply have no chance of beating an in-form Shericka Jackson. What makes her dominance even more remarkable is her journey. Early in her career, Jackson was primarily a 400-meter runner. Few could have predicted that she would later drop down to the shorter sprints and become one of the most dangerous 100 and 200-meter athletes on the planet. A transition similar to what Fred Kerley did on the men's side. But that 400-meter background is now her secret weapon. It gives her strength, endurance, and the ability to finish the 200 meters stronger than anyone else in the field. And tonight, the world saw exactly what that looks like. You could see it in her body language. Shericka Jackson came into this race with something to prove. After the disappointment of the 100 meters, she stepped onto the track with a clear mission. And the result was absolute domination. The margin of victory tells the story. Jackson won by 0.4 of a second, something that almost never happens at this level.
In fact, the last time we saw a gap this large in a World Championship 200-meter final was when Allyson Felix won by 0.53 seconds at the 2007 World Championships. Moments like this are incredibly rare, but in this race, the outcome was practically decided halfway through. Once Jackson powered through the curve, it was clear she was running on another level. And honestly, her entire 2023 season had been building towards something like this. Race after race, she kept producing incredible times over 200 meters. Many people believe she might even challenge the legendary world record set by Florence Griffith-Joyner. Her 21.41 is now the closest anyone has come to that record in decades. Before Jackson's rise, the nearest performance belonged to Elaine Thompson-Herah with a 21.55. But Jackson has taken the event to another level, consistently pushing the limits of what seemed possible. Inside the stadium, You could feel the energy building. From the moment she exploded out of the blocks, the crowd sensed something special was happening. Everyone knew she was chasing history, and she came incredibly close. If there had been just a little more wind behind her, even a slight legal tailwind, that time might have been even faster. Some even believe it could have dipped toward 21.2 or lower. But on this night, the wind stayed quiet. Still, 21.41 remains one of the greatest performances the 200 meters has ever seen. Of course, time is still on the side of Shericka Jackson. At around 28 years old, she still has several strong seasons ahead of her, and for the first time in her career, she has openly said something many athletes hesitate to say: she wants the world record. However, this season started with a few challenges. Jackson is coming back from injury, and that always makes the early part of the year a bit unpredictable. She has already raced in both the 200 and 300 meters, even suffering a defeat to Julien Alfred earlier in the season.
Still, her performances didn't look bad at all, especially considering she's still building her form. Right now, it may be a bit early to talk seriously about breaking the world record this season. Recovering from injury takes time, and reaching peak condition is a process. But the season is still very young. We're only at the beginning of May. That means she still has May, June, July, August, and even September. Roughly 4 more months to sharpen her form and reach top speed. In sprinting, that's plenty of time for an athlete of her caliber to peak at the right moment. And when you look at Jackson's abilities, it's clear why people believe she can challenge the legendary record of Florence Griffith-Joyner. She has the raw speed, the technical efficiency, the strength from her 400-meter background, and the confidence needed to chase history. Of course, conditions also play a role. A good race, perfect execution, and even a slight legal tailwind can make a huge difference. Sometimes that extra push, even a plus 0.5 or plus 1.0 wind, can be the difference between a great time and a world record. And many fans would love to see that moment happen. After all, Jamaica already holds the men's 100 and 200 meter world records thanks to the legendary Usain Bolt. Seeing a Jamaican woman claim the 200 meter record would be another incredible chapter in sprint history. Whether it happens this season, next season, or sometime in the near future, we'll just have to wait and see. But one thing is certain, if anyone in today's sprinting world has the potential to break that record, Shericka Jackson is right at the top of that list. Jackson entered the final in phenomenal form. After the disappointment of the 100 meters, she came into the 200 with something to prove. Her biggest strength is the transition off the curve. Once she hits the straight, her speed and strength separate her from the field. Her background as a former 400-meter runner gives her exceptional endurance compared to other 200-meter sprinters. That strength allows her to maintain top speed longer than anyone else. The result was a stunning 21.41, the second fastest time in history, only behind the legendary record of Florence Griffith-Joyner. Thomas came into the race with an important advantage: fresh legs. She skipped the 100 meters to focus entirely on the 200. Her biggest weapon is the final 100 meters, where she often closes the gap on competitors. In this final, she executed her race well and secured the silver medal. But Jackson's pace was simply too fast to match. Still, Thomas proved once again that she is one of the most dangerous 200-meter runners in the world. Richardson entered the race with huge momentum after winning the 100-meter world title earlier in the championships. To secure a medal in this stacked 200-meter final, she needed to run a personal best, and she delivered. Winning bronze gave her a second medal of the championships and confirmed that she is now one of the most complete and competitive sprinters on the global stage. Alfred came into the final as the NCAA champion and one of the fastest young sprinters in the world. Although she didn't reach the podium, her raw speed and explosive start show that she could become a major contender in global sprinting over the next few years. Athletes like Dina Asher-Smith and Daryll Neita brought experience and strong championship backgrounds. However, In this final, the pace set by Jackson proved too high for the rest of the field. Overall conclusion: the race ultimately highlighted one clear reality. When Shericka Jackson is in peak form over 200 meters, the rest of the world is chasing. Her combination of speed, strength, and racing experience makes her the dominant force in this event right now. The women's 200-meter final delivered one of the most impressive sprint performances in modern track and field. From the very start, the pace was extremely high, but what made the race special was how differently each of the top athletes approached the distance. At the center of it all was Shericka Jackson, who executed the race almost perfectly. Her strategy was clear: stay controlled through the first half of the curve and then unleash her strength in the final 120 meters. Once she exited the bend, the difference in power and endurance between her and the rest of the field became obvious. While others were trying to maintain speed, Jackson was still accelerating. That ability comes largely from her background as a former 400-meter runner, which gives her superior strength in the second half of the race. Her final time of 21.41 seconds was not only enough to defend her world title, but it also became the second fastest time ever recorded, only behind the legendary world record set by Florence Griffith-Joyner. Behind Jackson, the battle for silver was led by Gabby Thomas. Thomas ran a very tactical race. Her strength lies in her finishing speed, and she used that ability once the athletes entered the home straight. Compared to Jackson, Thomas relies more on pure sprint speed rather than endurance. While her final 100 meters were strong, the gap created earlier in the race proved too large to overcome. The bronze medal went to Sha'Carri Richardson, who had already made headlines earlier in the championships by winning the 100-meter title. Richardson's race was aggressive from the start, relying on her explosive acceleration. However, compared to Jackson and Thomas, her endurance over the full 200 meters was slightly weaker, which is why she began to lose ground in the final stretch. Even so, she managed to hold on for a personal best and secure her second medal of the championships. Another interesting comparison comes from the younger generation represented by Julien Alfred. Alfred has one of the fastest starts among the competitors and tremendous raw speed, but she is still developing the race endurance needed to challenge athletes like Jackson over the full 200 meters. Meanwhile, experienced athletes such as Dina Asher-Smith and Daryll Neita brought valuable championship experience to the final. However, the pace set by the leaders proved extremely difficult to match. In the end, the race clearly highlighted the key differences between the top sprinters. Richardson dominated the start phase, Thomas was strongest in the late acceleration, but Jackson combined speed, strength, and endurance, making her the most complete 200-meter runner in the world today. And when an athlete like Shericka Jackson performs at that level, the rest of the field is simply racing for the remaining medals. The biggest storyline in the 200-meter final at the 2023 World Athletics Championships centered around the rivalry between three elite sprinters: Shericka Jackson, Gabby Thomas, and Sha'Carri Richardson. Jackson versus Richardson, redemption versus momentum. The emotional core of this rivalry came from what happened earlier in the championships. In the 100 meters, Sha'Carri Richardson shocked the world by winning the gold medal, beating the Jamaican favorites in dramatic fashion. For Shericka Jackson, that result was a huge disappointment. For a brief moment, she thought she had won the 100-meter title, only to realize Richardson had taken it in the final meters. That loss added a new layer of intensity to the 200-meter final. Jackson came into the race with something to prove, and the moment the athletes came off the curve, it became clear she was running on a mission. While Richardson relied on explosive acceleration early in the race, Jackson's strength over the full distance allowed her to pull away dramatically on the straight. Jackson versus Thomas, power versus finish speed. Another key battle was between Jackson and Gabby Thomas. Thomas entered the race as one of the few athletes capable of challenging Jackson. She skipped the 100 meters during the championships to focus entirely on the 200.
which meant she arrived in the final with fresher legs than most of the field. Thomas is known for her devastating final 100 meters, often closing quickly on her competitors. But in this race, Jackson had already created too large of a gap coming off the curve. Even though Thomas finished strongly to secure silver, she simply could not match the pace Jackson established earlier in the race. A clash of different sprint styles. What made this rivalry especially fascinating was the contrast in racing styles. Sha'Carri Richardson relies on explosive starts and aggressive early acceleration. Gabby Thomas is strongest in the closing stages of the race. Shericka Jackson combines both speed and endurance, allowing her to dominate the middle and final parts of the 200 meters. In this final, Jackson's balanced strength proved decisive. She controlled the race from the moment she exited the bend and never gave her rivals a chance to catch her. The result. The rivalry delivered an unforgettable result. Gold, Shericka Jackson, 21.41, second fastest time in history. Silver, Gabby Thomas. Bronze, Sha'Carri Richardson. In the end, the race showed that while Richardson and Thomas are world-class sprinters, when Jackson is in peak form over 200 meters, she remains the athlete everyone else is chasing.